Okay, I am back with another video. This is not an addition to the series that I've been making on Salesforce development, both the Salesforce 1 and 2 developer certifications. This is actually an amendment to the last video that I dropped, which is about the bulk callout. If you looked at the last video, basically I created a callout in the real estate sales org that I manage that basically just does just that. It calls out on a bulk API and either creates or updates properties. And I will walk through the bug that I found today when I went in there and I saw duplicates. And I'm like, why is it creating duplicates? And I figured it out and I was able to update that very quickly. But let's take a look at the business problem. The business problem is that we want to create and update properties in Salesforce. We want, right now, we're using an endpoint that just provides data on actively listed, recently sold properties. And that's all we need for the moment. And we're also importing them in other ways, and we're appending that data with other data. But for now, we're just creating and updating properties in Salesforce from this particular API endpoint. We started with those actively listed, like I just mentioned. It's a bulk call out, updating existing properties using the external ID. So basically, it's using a Zillow ID through this Zillow API to update those properties. And they're creating new properties if no existing property exists. And that last point is very important. It's going to create new properties if no existing one exists based on that external ID. And if that external ID is not associated to that property, it will create a new one. And that's why I had duplicates. So let's continue on. So the user story basically is I have duplicate properties showing up. They need to be unique because of the relationships to other objects. And there's another object called opportunity property, where if that property is being involved in a buyer situation or a listing, then they create because we don't, it's a many-to-many situation. You could have potentially the property could be involved in many deals, and there could be, tons of opportunities associated. It could be something that is purchased. It will be an opportunity property for the purchase, and then it could be rented out numerous times, or it could be resold. So we want to make sure that they remain unique and the property data, stays updated properly. The acceptance criteria: each of the properties in the system will be unique, just like in real life. And the bug. Okay, what's the bug? Okay, so let's take a look at these two properties, these duplicates. The first property on the right was added by the API, and you see it says Joppa, Maryland, and the other one says Joppa Town. And the second one was added through a data load. Basically, that was a data load from a tax record, and there's other ways that properties are imported, but long story short, it was added by a user, and so the system looked at this. It didn't see this Zillow ID right here, and it went ahead and created a new one. So it did what it was supposed to do, but I didn't do what I was supposed to do and make sure that it also looked at this address. Now the address is going to change. It's going to evolve, and I kind of like the fact that we're going to keep improving, because we're going to maybe add some regex or some fuzzy logic. Most likely we'll use a fuzzy matching algorithm to get this a little closer. So if it says 406 Foster Knoll and 406 Foster Knoll Drive, if that DR wasn't on the second one, for instance, it'll still match. So there are going to be some things I'm going to add to make sure that this matching occurs, even if it's not perfect. But for now, it has to match perfectly. And what was the solution? So I kind of went over it a little bit, and this is just a snippet of the code. I'd be happy to share some more of the code. This is basically a bulk handler. So this is a handler from the API. So basically, there's a call out method that calls sends the JSON response from the callout into a converter that basically converts the JSON into Apex, and then we do some handling of the response. So we take that object and we do some things with it. So first, we're going to loop over and check for that Zillow ID. It's actually looking through that this parse data results, and it's looking for that ID. If it does not find that ID, so if property map does not contain the key, you see the exclamation point in the beginning, then it will create a new property, and that'll get sent to another method, the create or update property method that's not shown here, that processes that, and it returns a fully updated property basically. And else, if a property is found, it's basically just creating an existing property variable and processing it in the same way. And like I said, one of the things that I did not factor in was the street address. So we're going to process it again. We create a map of string and property, and this map uses the street address as the key. And like I said, this doesn't show it here, but it only processes a zip code at a time, so that street address will be unique. And basically, putting it into a map guarantees that we only have one unique key. And so basically what happens is the first one will go in with the same address, 406 False Mill Drive. The second one will go in 406 False Mill Drive. The first one will be eliminated. So it'll only process that second one. And so the way I did the query, I did it by the created date descending, so that we would keep the older version, assuming that the older version is the one we want to keep, and that's the one that's associated to another object. So we go and process that second map. So we create the second map, and we do an update on that map with a guarantee that those are unique values. And like I said, these are processed by zip code, so it's guaranteed that they will be unique. And that's it. So I know it was a little bit of a edge case, but it is important that it's one of the major functions was to make sure that it's creating or updating properties. And if I let that slide, then that's a major problem, because then somebody would have to keep deleting these records, and it's too much manual processes. So, I did also run a script to clean up the data, deduplicate what was already duplicated. But from now on, at least I know that these will be unique properties. So that's it. Just wanted to run over that bug and show you how I had to fix it. Thanks a lot. Have a good one.